Hey Ethan, how's it going? It's Sam.
Oh, pretty good, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So Ethan, you live down in Houston. You're actually a meteorologist, which is great. Can you just kind of tell us here in Colorado, is it as bad as what we're seeing on the media? What's your perspective down there?
Honestly, probably whatever in your guys' heads right now, take that times two because it's pretty terrible down here.
Wow.
I'm currently on the west side of Houston, and just to kind of explain what's been happening down here, um, since yesterday about this time, we've had 22 inches of rain in just over the 24 hours here, and then since about midnight last night, we've had close to 18 inches. So pretty incredible amounts of rainfall, which led to some pretty severe flash flooding in my part of town. Um, the road just outside my hotel, which is staying right across from work, had water up to my knees when I crossed it last night.
Okay, so you were
So
telling me, what
pretty
about the
incredible rain.
interstates? Sorry to interrupt you, but what about the interstates? How bad are they right now? Because we've heard a lot of them are closed down.
Yeah, so last night is when things really started going downhill, and then now that the bayous and everything, those are all out of their banks. Now all that water is flowing onto the interstates, and pretty much every single main roadway in Houston is closed and impassable. Like it's impossible to get around town.
Okay, so part of Houston's like the fourth biggest city in the country. Obviously, this is we know it's affecting tons of people. Is just the layout of Houston also causing part of this problem? I imagine there's not a lot of places for the water to go since you guys have so much concrete down there, correct? And just your soil is also naturally tough to drain anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Just being so close to the Gulf, the water table is super high up, so there's not much soil for the water to sink down into. And then with all the concrete, all the new development, even since I moved down here 4 years ago, there's just so much more concrete, and the water just really just runs right into the bayou, and then it overflows right away. So it's just a terrible situation.
Okay, so you guys didn't take the brunt of the wind down there. What would you say that was kind of like? Was it more in that 30 to 50 mile per hour range? I mean, still strong, but not devastating like Rockport.
Yeah. So probably the initial bands that came through. Let's see, was that? I'm getting my days mixed up here. I think on Friday night, maybe in those initial bands we had gusts to maybe 35 miles an hour, but we haven't had anything over that. I mean, the winds have been pretty light. It's just been a bunch of rain.
Okay, so we were hearing about some power outages. Is that maybe the one thing you think is kind of being overblown on some of the national media news? I think you told me earlier your power didn't even flicker, right?
Yeah, I haven't had any power issues, at least on the west side of town. Probably in places that are really close to the bayou that homes have water up to their roofs. I'm assuming places like that probably don't have power, but power has been on for the majority of the city this entire event so far.
Okay, so Ethan, you're a meteorologist just like me. We actually went to school together back in Iowa, so I know the situation weather-wise down there. But can you give our viewers just a little bit of an explanation on why isn't this thing moving? You've done a little bit more with hurricanes than I have big down there. Why is this just staying in the same place like it is? And what are you guys expecting over the next, let's say, even like 72 hours, like out towards Wednesday or so?
Mm. So kind of the pattern we are stuck in right now is pretty kind of a rare pattern. The hurricane made landfall and all of a sudden just stopped, and it's due to a strong high pressure over the west, and that's just kind of blocking the hurricane from moving further north. And then, so that high pressure is kind of taken over, and the storm has now moved back to the southeast. Now it's right over Victoria, Texas, the center, and by tomorrow or tomorrow night, the center will be back over the Gulf of Mexico, just off the coast.
Now
And
when
then
it
by
moves back over the Gulf of Mexico, is that are we looking at a possible re-strengthen? Obviously, they like the Gulf, they like that warm ocean water. Is that something the National Weather Service you guys are worried about?
Yeah, so actually the Hurricane Center has it strengthening back up to, I think, a 40 knot winds, which about 45, 50 miles an hour, and then heading straight for Galveston Bay, which is just southeast of Houston. So the center pretty much making landfall on Thursday again right over Houston with some increased winds, which I'm very concerned about.
Why is that?
Well, with all the rain, the soil's super, super wet, and I think even 35 miles an hour winds sustained, gusting to 45 miles an hour. I think pretty much the power will go out all across the city.
What
We'll be without power for days. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen, but we'll have to see.
So are you nervous, just you personally, then? Are you scared at all, or are you just kind of thinking you'll be okay, just kind of waiting this thing out?
For me personally, pretty safe. I'm kind of fortunate where I don't own any property. I'm also staying right across from work because, we're in the weather industry, so we work around the clock. So I'm staying right across the street in a hotel. My car is in a parking garage on the 3rd floor. So for me personally, I'm not worried. I'm not really going to have any issues. So I'm pretty good for me. But for all the other people down here, it's awful for them. Just keep them in your thoughts for sure.
Yeah,
and help out any way you can.
I was going to say, what's kind of the general attitude of everybody down there? Are you all just tired? Probably is mostly. I'm assuming what you guys would be feeling.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I've been at work. We're working 12-hour days, 2 shifts, minimum staff because a lot of my coworkers can't make it in. So we kind of have about like 15 people here that are going in, working half the day and coming back. So I haven't been out other than just walking across the street to my work. So I don't really know. I've just been watching the news and stuff to see what's going on in other parts of the town. But yeah, it's a pretty scary situation for just thinking about all those people that have gotten rescued today and are still getting rescued by helicopters, boats, you name it.
If you needed to drive out right now, could you?
It depends where you're going. If you stay away from the bayous and stay away from the main interstates, I mean, you can kind of move around, but there's gonna be more rain probably coming in tonight, so it's not worth it. And me personally, I would never move my car until this is completely out of here.
Okay, well, I think that kind of covers most of what I wanted to ask you about. Yes, the takeaway is that it is just as bad as we're seeing. Especially, it's kind of the southeast side of Houston. Is that where the bayou is? You keep mentioning. Is that where it is worse, the southeast side?
Well, honestly, it doesn't matter where you're at. The entire Harris County, which that's where Houston's at, and it's a pretty big county. If you look at square miles, I mean, everywhere in the county's seen over 15 inches of rain over the past 24 hours.
That's true.
And it's all going into the bayous. Every single bayou is over its banks, flooding every interstate. So it's bad all across the county, all across southeast Texas, for that matter. And it's only going to get worse with more rainfall expected over the next 3 to 4 days through honestly Friday morning.
Okay, wow. Yeah, hopefully it kind of gets out of the way and you guys get a little bit of a break from that. But I think and you probably know this too. Even after the rain clears, this is still going to be a problem for months. I think months, honestly.
Oh yeah, major record river flooding. Every single river down here in southeast Texas is going to have record crests of all time, and I think this will probably go down as one of the worst natural disasters that's ever hit the United States, hands down.
Okay, wow. Well, Ethan, thanks for talking to us here. I'm going to get on the phone with you after I stop our recording, but we're all thinking about you in Southern Colorado, and yeah, I'll talk to you here in just a second. So thanks for speaking with us.
Yeah, no problem, Sam. Thank you.